project. Are we together? And we're pulling together, maybe say your risk plan and all that stuff. Oftentimes we want to think about money will get stolen but you really need to start thinking about what are the environmental things that we need to be factoring into this project, okay? What are the social issues? When we talk about the social issues, you need to think about your supply chain, because some of the risks that we have with some of our projects, they're not necessarily coming from internal, they're probably within the supply chain. Who are you dealing with? Are we together? Where are you getting your products, all right? Those are some of the things that you now need to start thinking about as part of a project. And then, of course, just being cognizant in terms of what are the corporate governance issues, okay? Do we have a strong framework? I think nationally, we're still kind of limping around our governance issues. We will get there. We're doing a little bit better, but we could be better, okay? We've got fraud, we've got systemic corruption, poor accountability, weak institutions. But also at a corporate level, one thing that I have found is we've got very, very poor knowledge management systems, okay? I was having a conversation with a lady here last night, and she was telling me she's doing amazing things. She's developing policies for a particular organization. And I was like, that's a real interesting. I developed all those policies in 2016. And she says, well, there's nothing. And I was like, but I developed everything, okay? But what happened is there's a new management that's come in place. Are we together? So as the old people have gone, they've gone with everything that the company has paid for. Are we together? And as new people have come in, we're starting from scratch. You cannot run an organization sustainably, commercially viably, if you're constantly churning over. Are we together? Constant treadmill. So you need to now think about at a corporate level, what systems do we have to ensure that we're managing the knowledge that's coming in? Are we together? It touches issues around succession planning but very, very important, more importantly, manage the knowledge. If there's documentation that's coming in, have these things properly catered for. And these are things that we often really don't really pay too much attention on. And from a project management perspective, equally important, okay? The project inception, from the project closure, what happens to the information and the learnings and everything else that we got? How are these things kept? How is the information passed on? How do we learn? Are we together? We are not paying enough attention to that, all right? Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay. So one of the things that, so we come back to when I was talking about the role of leadership, okay? Simplicity. Are we together? We close off with a saying from, it's an Einstein, the leader is the one who out of clutter brings simplicity, okay? Out of discord, harmony, and out of difficulty, opportunity, all right? I think that whole element around opportunity, again, keeps coming back. But we really need to ask ourselves sometimes, do we have the wherewithal to lead this project, okay? Do we understand the question that we are answering? Do we understand what the outcome must look like? And then are we able to now motivate and influence everybody towards that outcome? If not, maybe you need to take a step back, okay? Alvin Toffler is one of my favorite sayings. Alvin Toffler says, the illiterate of this century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. We thank you.
Wow. Another round of applause to Tsitsi. That was very incisive, cutting through, and very clear. I'm sure it's been clear to everyone what Tsitsi delivered. How many got that clarity? By show of hands. Wow, Tsitsi. There you go. The whole room understood everything you said. with that level of clarity. I think those were, you touched on important elements. I think especially with project management, board alignment, and aligning those projects with your board, your executive, having that same alignment brings success. And again, I think the important thing for project managers that I picked there is having confidence in yourself and gathering all the facts before you go and present yourself. Be clear what you're asking them to do. You don't go to an exco meeting and start blabbering and just losing all the confidence you have, but you are a PMP, you're PMP certified. You have the knowledge. Gather your facts and talk to those facts and get to convince people where the project should be going, what the problems are, how they can be solved. Again, don't go to Exco expecting them to think of a solution for you. Go ready with a solution to say, these are my options. 1, 2, 3. And I want you to make a decision on option 1, because these are the pros and cons that will make this thing successful. So I think I took a lot of notes and I won't repeat everything. But especially on the video, it was quite interesting. There were one worders that kept popping up there. Connected society, new energy sources, 3D printing. So those are, again, like the good doctor said, these are all opportunities where the problems exist and where as PMs we can actually go in and solve. And present ourselves to say, here I am, I'm PMP certified, give me this job, I'll do it and deliver. I think after the next speaker that we'll introduce, we are going to ask our panel quickly to come forward for a photo shoot and perhaps ask the members here to ask maybe 1 or 2 questions. And those online, please do post and share your questions on the platforms that are being circulated right now. So please do share your answers. We'll give them to our presenters to respond and get a response coming back, and we all have a palette of questions and answers. But those in the room will give you an opportunity for a few of you to ask questions to our speakers. Is that all right? So I won't take any questions now. Please keep it, write it down, don't forget it. As I welcome the next speaker, Agrippa G.R. Mugwagwa is the managing director of Harani. Some people pronounce it different as X-Haran. I think he will explain what Harani means. But it's the fintech arm of FBC Holdings, a diversified financial group in Zimbabwe. Prior to assuming this role, he was Group Retail Banking and E-Commerce Director at FBC, where he was in charge of retail and digital banking as well as digital transformation. He has over 30 years' experience in sales, brand, product, and project management in the financial services industry. Agrippa is a chartered marketer, UK, as well as a member of the Institute of Bankers of Zimbabwe, holds various diplomas, business degree, and a master's business leadership degree from the University of South Africa. He is a passionate digital thought leader and speaker. Agrippa is a fellow and past president of Marketers Association of Zimbabwe, as well as a member of PMP, and is PMP certified with the Project Management Institute. So I welcome to the podium Agrippa.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here after that very generous introduction by Chester. I think we'll start with first things first. All protocol observed. Madam President, Dr. Magombo, our guest of honor. I'm going to explain what Harani means. It sounds a bit cryptic to many, but the origins of it really was some 3 years ago. We were going through a phase of change at FBC Holdings. And what we realized prior to COVID was obviously the world was not going to be the same. And fortuitously so, we thought of accelerating our change. And as we thought of accelerating our change, we had to take a world view of saying, how is the world going to evolve and change? And one of the things we were very clear about was that the world was going to work as an ecosystem, right? Most of the ways that I'm going to talk about, I think, have been spoken about by Dr. Magombo, you know, by John, by Tsitsi, and so forth. But the word ecosystem stood out very, very well, clearly to us. And we then said, okay, what role are we going to be playing in the ecosystem? And we're not talking just about financial services, but the world as an ecosystem. And we said the opportunities lie in, you know, enabling that ecosystem. And to enable that ecosystem, what were we going to be? And we believed that we were going to be an ecosystem orchestrator in our own way, whether it's in Zimbabwe or in the region, but we're going to be an ecosystem orchestrator. And to enable that ecosystem, it was going to involve a process of, you know, putting the garment together, right? Stitching it together, stitching the ecosystem, so to speak, right? And this stitching of the ecosystem entailed putting together a digital ecosystem that enables different players, the customer, accessing, you know, services, be they financial, be they social, be they government, et cetera, et cetera. That's why on the slide there, you probably see a needle and a thread. So Harani is the thread. For those that come from the southern parts or southwestern parts of Midlands to the southwestern parts of the country, they would know Harani as a thread, right? And that's what Harani is about. That's how the identity of this financial technology entity, you know, emerged. So I hope it's clearer now, and we can now go into the presentation, right? And also golfers would know about it, particularly the male ones. I was sitting next to one, and he said, "I know that one," because when they say Rover Harani, they mean hit a straight one, long and straight. Yeah. So I'm not here before you because I know a lot. Like Tsitsi mentioned, it's important to know what you don't know, right? I don't know a lot, but what I have, what I can confirm to you, which has made me get to speak before many people, is I've got the passion and the desire, right, to share. For me, the burden of every little knowledge that I have is to share it. So I find it tragic in our Zimbabwean setup. I think we're churning out so many PhDs, but like Tsitsi said, you get to a point where you say, okay, can I really see the papers of this guy? You know, there's so many PhDs, but you don't get it. You know, you don't get a PhD to shelve it and not share the knowledge. That's such a waste, right? So if I do a certificate, be guaranteed I will share whatever I learned from there. Okay, we can move on. My presentation is basically going to be in 4 sections. I will talk about disruption, and quite a lot of that has been spoken about by, you know, prior speakers. We are going through a lot of disruption. We've gone through a lot of disruption, you know, in the last 3 or so years. And I'll speak about VUCA and the context of how that acronym, you know, applies to our Zimbabwean setup and the global, you know, setup. Then I'll talk a bit more about Agile, because my topic is about really, mitigating disruption through adoption of agility in implementation or project management, as you may want to call it, being project managers. Then I will round off by, sharing some lessons of how we built this Harani that we spoke about. And this Harani obviously is trying to embrace agility. We've been able to build some solutions. And one of my proudest customers is Chester. He can attest to that. And when you look at what has been happening over the last 3 or 4 years, I think for us who are passionate about digital, we've been talking about being at the cusp, right? Or at the inflection point of change in terms of technology really taking us to the next level, whereabouts, there's hyper-personalization, there's adoption of big data, there is cloud computing, and so forth and so forth. And there's been a lot more talk in boardrooms, right, than action, right? A lot of talk, documents and documents. And I'll tell you what, over the last 10 or so years, many companies have embraced digital transformation. And agility is part of, that digital transformation. But at the end of the day, nothing has been happening. And the best event to ever happen over the last 5 to 10 years for change has been COVID-19, right? And I was quite happy about it. Sorry for the pun. I was quite happy about it because it helped lots of businesses to be able to get it in terms of why they had to change. Overnight, everybody embraced working from home. Everybody looked for the internet, right? Yes, there was talk about, was it John Sagel, saying each time everybody gets into a place, what they look for are 2 things, right? Wi-Fi or a PowerPoint, right? They want to stay online, right? And now with COVID, because we could not go to work, everybody needed to be connected where they were, and that was home. People had to invest in power. The solar panels had to go up. And those guys that provide power solutions, I'm sure they had a good time, taking in those orders. And in boards, people said, we do have all these, projects that we had lined up to implement digitalization, enable people to be more efficient, customers to be able to contact and engage us through multiple platforms, right? And the budgets went out. The laptops were bought in their hundreds, if not thousands, to enable people to work from home. Then at the end of COVID, right, earlier this year, we saw a scenario where, as we thought we were going back to work and things were getting back to normal, what then did happen? The Russia-Ukraine war erupted, right? Which war disrupted all supply chains, all systems, right? Right now, I think that picture you have on the slide does show, a rocket lying in the middle of a grain field. And Africa is one place, in spite of all the good climate and weather, and young people, right, cannot feed itself. Now it's disrupted by a war that happens on the other part of the world, right? And we are facing hunger, right? And what else? The supply of fuel, because Russia is now cut out, from the world global oil supply chain. The price of oil is hitting unprecedented highs. We can move on to the next one. Right, so there is a lot of disruption that is happening, and we don't know what's around the corner, right? For those in financial services, we obviously know that the United States dollar's position as the international reserve currency is under threat, right? The United States, for the longest time, since 1971, when President Nixon decoupled or discontinued the gold standard, it meant the United States was the only country in the world that could print US dollars without producing a good or a service. They are the only country that could do that, that can do that, right? And now that position is under threat. Why is it under threat? It's under threat because the East is now coming up with an alternative to introduce an alternative international reserve currency, trading currency, apart from the United States dollar. And that is really a threat to the United States as a world leader, right? Because they can't do quantitative easing, right? You remember Obama saying we are going to do quantitative easing in 2008, essentially where they were going to print more money and bail out all the companies, the banks that were struggling. Now you cannot do that because prior to 1971, the United States as a reserve currency had undertaken that for every dollar that we produce, right? If you submit it to our Federal Reserve, we can give you equivalent in gold. And in 1971, they discontinued that, right? And now you've got a situation where that is going to change. That changed in 1971. They said we can't continue with this anymore. We are the international reserve currency, but there is no gold standard to talk about, right? And other people that then also decided to, attack the gold standard, particularly from the smaller countries. I think we all know their fate, right? Gaddafi is one of them. Saddam is one of them. But now they are a bit stronger from the other part of the East, right? We don't know what will happen, but definitely change is coming. Yes, we've disabled Russia from the international payment system, SWIFT, and they are demanding payment for their oil in rubles. But that's to digress. But it's all about VUCA, right? Which you can move on. It talks about our volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That is the environment that we are now operating in. And as we execute projects, we need to be aware of this, right? And we need to be clear about what needs to be done to counter, these challenges of an ever-evolving environment. And when we talk about volatility, we need vision. And to counter uncertainty, we need understanding. And to counter complexity, we need clarity, right? In all that clutter that was referred to earlier on. There is need for clarity, particularly from project managers as leaders, right? And amidst the ambiguity, we also need, the agility. What is agility? You can move on. Right? Agility is the ability to execute, to move dynamically with time, with all the changes that are happening in the environment, in and around the project. And for us, earlier on I was talking about Harani. Harani essentially is a financial technology company that was formed on the edge, right? On the edge of a business that is in a traditional industry, which is banking and finance. And the idea was really to speedboat innovation and creativity in terms of what is on their horizon. And with a two-speed concept, what then happens is the innovative arm of your business, right, operates like the speedboat. You've got the big ship that moves slowly, that doesn't change course very quickly, and banking is one such industry. For those bankers that are in here, they know exactly what I'm talking about. We are risk management businesses, right? We don't change policies and procedures quickly, right? Whereas the world around us that is driven by VUCA, right, or characterized by VUCA, changes so fast, right? And we always like to follow. And the scenario that we find ourselves in terms of the changes that has happened in financial services, is we have got players from the adjacent industry, you know, those colleagues from telecoms, that have now come into the industry. They are quicker, they are nimbler, they spend a lot of money in marketing and advertising, and they are very responsive to their customer needs, right? And that has put pressure on the banks, who are used to waiting for policy pronouncements from the central bank. Innovation is not part of the DNA, if you want to call it. And that is the pressure that we find ourselves in. And agility then helps us to then say, okay, as an agile business, what do you do in this environment? We now have to learn to plan, design, develop, test, deploy, and review in one movement, right? That speaks to agile, right? Whereas traditionally, as banks and also as the traditional PMs, we are used to waterfall. And we've had to contend within organizations. I'm sure in different spaces we have contented. I've got my colleague here, Melody. She will tell you about stories where we argue around whether to go full out agile or embrace waterfall. Waterfall is a lot more comfortable for the traditional business because you're sticking to policies. What is audit going to say, right? But this audit is, you know, it's there to serve the business. The business has to embrace agile and ensure that it responds to the environment, it responds to the customer, right? So in agile, you review and then launch. You don't launch the full product, right? You launch what we call an MVP, minimum viable product, right? And minimum viable product says we are going to take a product to the market that the customer will find value in. It's not the full product, but whatever features we are going to put on the MVP is going to be of use to the customer. But because we are agile, we are going to make sure that all the other requirements that should be incorporated into that product are implemented as we go, as iterations, on an incremental basis, right? That's what Agile says. But when you then go back to our historical traditional organization, you can move on. Our traditional organization, can you please move? Yeah. Our traditional organization then says the glass is half full, or rather half empty. Fill up the glass before we take the product to the market. And it becomes a problem, right? But why is Agile saying we cannot wait until the glass is full? Because you've got a dynamic changing environment. If you wait until the glass is full, the next competitor would have already delivered the product, right? So that is the whole basis of it. The traditional organization obviously is a lot more hierarchical, as you can see on the left. Strategy, decisions, rules, and power comes from the top, whilst only reporting happens from the bottom. And that is not very conducive for a dynamic, changing organization. John from Sage was talking about giving young people the opportunity to lead. If we do not give the young people the opportunity to lead, to experiment, of which experimentation is part of agility, then we are not going to fail. Fail and learn, fail fast and fail forward, so that you are able to develop and evolve as an organization and stay on the leading edge. An agile organization is a lot more collaborative, whereas the traditional one is a lot more siloed, right? Each one just focuses on what they do. They don't share information, which is not good for when you're operating in a fast-changing environment. There's a lot of cooperation, servant leadership. There's a lot more sharing of information. There's giving of opportunity to young people to lead, as it were. Right? We can move forward. Right. So where do we start to implement Agile? It's important to prepare for change. Upskilling and reskilling is very, very important. I think some of you, when you were listening to my bio, you ended up a bit more confused. A lot of people get confused about what exactly I am. I've done banking, I've done marketing, I've done a bit of project management. I've done a bit of this and that, and I've been going through a process of learning, and I'm trying really to learn and relearn, unlearn and relearn new things on a continuous basis to stay relevant, as it were. Pilot Agile practices. What we have done, as I have just explained, in terms of current, we have been able to pilot Agile within our organization, and I will share with you a little bit later some of the things we have been able to accomplish by adopting, Agile in a very traditional waterfall environment. Metrics are obviously very critical. Data and insights, as shared earlier on, they are very, very critical, right? Without data, right, everybody has an opinion about anything. You need the data to support whatever you advocating. Develop Agile maturity. It's important to deliberately be very intentional about building maturity and measuring the maturity in terms of execution of your Agile philosophy. Building Scrum teams that work on small projects, ensuring that your MVPs are delivered, you create your backlogs, and you build the skills to release products quicker, because the world is moving fast. If you are slow, then the world definitely will overtake you. And that will lead to the achievement of Agile fluency. You can move on. Right, so that's a longhand, I think, pretty much narration of what we're talking about in terms of building Agile within the organization. Agile promotes adaptive planning, fast feedback loops that then help influence the ultimate outcome. Things change in the middle of an implementation. You need to, address business demands. Yes, not talk about scope creep too often. Be able to analyze and see what you can incorporate, on the fly into DevOps, and implement those changes as they come through. And start with a pilot team. That helps. To start with pilot teams on a smaller project, and on the basis of that success, be able to build, into the rest of the organization. Collaboration, very, very key. Sharing information is also very, very key. We can move on. That's about developing Agile maturity. You can move on. I think we've spoken about that. Right. What does Agile do? It enables creativity and collaboration that allows, your people to innovate. And for people to innovate, the culture has to be right. We were very deliberate that we were going to be creative and innovative. And we were going to give an opportunity to those that come up with their new ideas so that they are, actually implemented. And that culture of experimentation is not easy, because you are saying try and fail. And most organizations do not reward for failure. And an organization that then accommodates or embraces failure is then likely to learn and improve on those lessons and move on. But if your organization is siloed, the metrics are not right, there's no common understanding of those metrics, that this chap, we should reward them for having tried, not for having, just done what has been done for the last 30 years. Tell you what, in terms of value creation, they say the best or most efficient person who does process-based work efficiently can only improve the organization at most 2x by 2x, right? But if you have got a creative person that's innovative and imaginative, brings new ideas for implementation, they can give you exponential growth up to 10x. That is where the value of innovation, creativity, and agility comes in. When you look at your creative resources, particularly working with collaboration. Right, we can move on. Why agile? There are lots of things that are happening. We spoke about disruption that is happening, changing technologies. Competition is really, 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 going up. The world is becoming one small village. Right now, you're spending so much of your life on Facebook. Facebook is not a Zimbabwean business, right? They've been doing social stuff, but right now you can see that they are taking all the advertising revenue now, right? They are going to include a payment solution, right? Which payment solution means they are going to eat into financial services in Zimbabwe, right? And if we do not adapt, it means Zimbabwean financial services companies are going to be irrelevant going forward. We can move on. Agile fosters competitiveness. For companies to stay competitive, they must be agile. Keeping waterfall going on for 14 years that Dr. Magombo made reference to the Medupi it's just not going to work. Because by then, there are going to be 2-3 other innovations that would have happened. So you need to do things fairly quickly, in an agile manner, collaborating, experimenting, failing, and moving forward, right? People want contactless solutions. What are you doing in your organization to provide contactless solutions, right? I was reading a report about Primark as one of the biggest fashion retailers in the UK. Over a period of 3 months, they lost 900 million pounds because Primark has always been against e-commerce, against online selling. So you can imagine you've got hundreds of thousands of employees. What's going to happen? You have to embrace, the change and move on. Make speedy decisions and embrace continuous change. Change is continuous. The only constant is change, right? And when it comes to innovation, agile companies, 59% of CEOs that were, interviewed by Forbes in 2018, they believe that agility, gives them faster innovation compared to, to their peers, right? And quicker time to market. We spoke about time to market. Those companies that are agile tend to be quicker to the market. And they don't have a perfect product. Because imagine if, Econet had decided that they were not going to launch EcoCash until it had bill payments, until it had bank to wallet and wallet to bank, how long that product was going to take. And the regulatory framework wasn't even there. But they decided to iterate and build products as they went, as the environment changed. And there we are. Now things are happening a lot quicker as we move forward. So that information then becomes relevant. You can move on. Move on to the next one. The next one. The next one. Yeah. Right. From the same research from Forbes Insights, 81% of CEOs consider agility to be the most important characteristic of successful organizations. So there is agility again, featuring very prominently in terms of Fortune 500 companies. It's a highly rated DNA for successful organizations. We can move on. Right, what are the key things that ensures that agility happens? Purpose, very, very critical. People need to know what they are in for. What is the role of your big business in the market? You ought to have purpose. How are you impacting lives? right? What does energy do to the lives of people? What does financial services do to the lives of people? Connectivity and communication, bringing people together and so forth. What are the tools and processes that you need, right? Are you using Agile or using Waterfall or using Prince2, whatever tool it is? You need the right tools and processes. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier on, there are tools and processes that are enabling organizations to move forward. Social intelligence. You need people that are collaborative, right? People that can communicate, people that are willing and open to learning new ideas, as it were, right? Resilience. When we talk about resilience, what do you take from failure? You fail, you go down, stand up, and move on, right? Learn from it and then build on the lessons from your failure. We can move on. Right, the issue of sharing of information, very, very key. The traditional organizations tend to be siloed, not much sharing of information. Even though the sharing will actually benefit the entire organization. There's hoarding of information, but with agility, you can't be, agile if you are not collaborating and sharing information, because the information will influence, your colleague, the build of their product that they are working on, because all these things are interconnected, right? In fact, for some of the organizations, that happens to be groups, you find that they are all trying to serve one customer, but they are working with Chinese walls in between them. And the customer finds the experience very, 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 cranky. It's not smooth. And when you look at the competition that is coming, particularly through with digital platforms, you can see that they have done their work in terms of the customer journeys. They know what the customer needs. They've got the data about the customer, what their expectations are. They've bought a product. What else would they want? What payment products or payment solution they need to be able to check out and have a very good experience, right? Research, if we can move on to the next one, does show that unfortunately as humans, we do have some challenges in terms of the ability to change, in response to new information. Only 3 out of 10 people tend to respond, or at least respond quick enough. And if us as project managers, we are not being responsive to new information, it means we are not built for agility, right? The ultimate outcome is not going to meet, the changed environment that we spoke about. Right, we can move on. This one, I think Cici shared this one off the cuff. I haven't crammed it yet. You can just reread it, but it speaks about the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think that's really the crux of dynamism, the crux of embracing change, rediscovering ourselves, learning new skills, and discontinuing those that are no longer relevant to what we're trying to, to do. Right, we can move on. Right, this particular slide is one of my favorite slides. For those that are in IT, particularly in technology, you realize that the companies that tend to be agile have embraced platforms, right? Platforms that are not monolithic, platforms that are built from microservices, platforms that are modular, perhaps that's a more familiar word, and these modular platforms give flexibility, to our businesses, and hence agility. And when we talk about modular platforms are like cards, right? If you buy cards, you know that you are able to play as many games as you can imagine, right? Crazy 8, you can play this and that. with your family. But if you buy Monopoly on the left, you can only play Monopoly, right? And most of our businesses are struggling to do the transition from the left to the right, because on the right, that's where you are able to, build products, new products quickly. You don't have to stop or bring down the entire platform to be able to introduce a new product, right? It's modular, it's microservices, and it's built to accommodate many other people. In fact, you can change your business model to serve not just your business, but other businesses that are external to you, right? And build revenue, what we call net new revenue for your business. Right? As I round off this longish presentation, I spoke about what we did at Harani just before COVID. We were able to digitize, insurance, and at the crux of us digitizing insurance was we built a team very quickly, a team of developers, which constitutes our DevOps. And these developers were able to do a couple of integrations, right? We were able to build the first integration into the National Registrar. We built an API. If you go on to, if we integrate you or your business, you are able to verify the identity of everyone in Zimbabwe, check their ID, where they were born, which village, whether they are dead or alive, right? That's our proof of life. And we can integrate this into an onboarding platform. So out of that, we started off with insurance, which meant you could buy your insurance, your Zinara, off our platform, Star 220, or the app. And for those seeking to open accounts at FBC Bank, we're able to build a full KYC digital onboarding platform, right? And full KYC is different from opening a wallet where you just open that low-cost account. We're talking of a full KYC account where through these different APIs, we checked on your identity, you indeed who you are. We're able to build a face recognition, which is check you against your ID that was taken 40 years ago, right? There are a few people that can say that. 40 years ago, check that picture when you were 18 against your current picture. We were able to then do a liveness check, which is take a selfie of yourself. We build algorithms that are able to pick whether you are a live person or you are spoofing using a picture. We're able to verify that. And we are also then able to do the other traditional checks, which is sanction screening. If you are on sanctions for one reason or another, we built an API. All those, we're using APIs. You don't even realize it as you open the account, but we are doing the checks in the background. Check you on the sanction screening, check you on FCB if you don't pay your debts, etc., etc. We built all those APIs with that small team of developers, and we are able to open that account inside 3 minutes, right? So you will be able to open a full KYC account and start zipping money in and out immediately, assuming you are clean. If you've got issues, either your ID is broken or this is a bit, your picture is scratched, that's when you then have to do it in the background and check on you so that we can verify who you are. We were able to then also do some checks just at the cusp of COVID for the social grants that were being done, to the COVID vulnerable. Do checks across the databases. And we've also been able to integrate some of our colleagues in the banking industry, including Chester here. So we were able to do that, and quite quickly were we able to do that, and we have been pivoting on that. If you need services of that nature, including the automation that come with it, Harani is able to stitch you into the ecosystem, right? That's what we do. You can move on to the next one. So what have been the lessons from our digital transformation, which obviously has got this agile component that I've been sharing with you? Changing organizational culture is urgent and very necessary. And digital is a mindset, it's culture. Technology is only an enabler, in that space. Change led from the top and bottom has better momentum and impact, right? Agile is quite challenging in a siloed organization. So without the change in culture, it's not about my rank in an insights-driven organization. We're trying to move away from rank to insights, right? It's not about your rank, it's about insights. Are you doing the right things right? It's not about who said it. It's a difficult one, particularly when you grow up in a chef country. It's a challenging one. Dr. Magombo will tell you about it, right? It's who said it. The moment you start talking facts and your rank is not at the right level, it's a problem, right? Collaboration and teamwork in practice is powerful, right? There was this buzz about this young group of developers. John is right, Sergio, allow them to flourish. Give them that chance and they'll flourish. Our Scrum teams, the collaboration, and somewhat, I believe we were able to do it because we put this team on the edge. If we had kept it in the bigger entity, they were going to be, I don't think we were going to move as fast because there wasn't as much autonomy, right? Data and insights, powerful tool to influence decisioning. Agile builds organizational flexibility and competitiveness. Project managers, the future is already here. It's only unevenly distributed, right? You've got issues in the village. There are transport issues. They are using donkeys, right? You've got project managers who have got smartphones who are talking blockchain, right? The future is already here. Yes, they've got smartphones there, but they're also using donkeys for transport. It's a bit of a contradiction. You can move on to the last slide. I will quote one of my favorite fintech leaders, thought leaders, Brett King. He says in 250 years, when we have seen technology disruption over that period, when we have seen technology disruption emerge, the number of industries that have successfully defended their model against that technology is zero. Ask Kodak, right? Do you know that Kodak actually had an engineer that said to them, let's develop digital camera. And they said, but what's going to happen to our films? Because that film's business was developing, was generating, contributing 80% of their money, right? The same thing with Nokia, right? Nokia actually also had the team of their engineers, right? That 2005, 2004, right? 2004, 2005, he actually proposed to develop a smartphone. And they did a pilot. And the guys at the top said, no, just hold on, we're doing fine. Pumping out, what did we call those? The 6210s, whatever, communicator. 2007, there was Steve Jobs launching, the iPhone. Thank you very much. I hope, you found it useful. Let's keep talking. We're at Harani, happy to stitch your solutions, do those integrations, APIs, automations, identity. We are very happy to work with you on identity. You need to KYC your, your customers. We are very happy to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Agrippa. for those insightful descriptions between traditional versus agility. I think, again, that was clearly articulated in terms of what agility can do. It's another methodology up for adoption as project managers, having either in a hybrid, or you follow the traditional or the agile approach, depending on circumstances, but don't be afraid to find a methodology that will apply to your specific project that you want to tackle. So again, I think that was another angle that was very incisive, and I like the alignment between Tsitsi and Agrippa on the fact that with all these project methodologies, it's about engagement with stakeholders. It's about the culture that you want to inculcate when you deliver a project. What's that culture? Walk through with the people. Otherwise, they will stand back, because they are fearing for their jobs, or that this new innovation is going to make them redundant. But as a project manager, it's about you removing that fear, explaining what this project, the benefits, what are those benefits, and again, speaking to the culture of the organization. You can't just waltz into a department which is a specific culture and you don't understand it. Then there is a problem and misalignment, and people don't trust you. They think you are with management, and they don't attend your meetings and contribute and speak. They just keep quiet and watch, and you fail as a project manager. So again, I liked this glass half empty concept. Again, changes require collaborative effort. So it's about, again, aligning you as the project manager, the people who are going to use this technology, who are going to use these tools, versus those at the top, whether it's the government trying to deliver something to the people, and the people don't trust guys in government with their solution, or it's an organization, they don't trust EXCO in management, and they are saying no. So we are the people who put up those bridges and make sure that there is a collaborative effort between the two. I think our guest of honor needs to rush, and I'm going to ask all the speakers and Madam President to quickly come for a photo shoot, and then we'll go into a question and answer section. In case the doctor needs to leave, you can leave in the process. So if we can just quickly come up for that photo shoot before we allow her before we get into the question and answer. We have roving mics to those who have got burning questions. I think there's been a lot of speaking, and a lot of you have questions, right? I saw a hand that was trying to come up. You will be the number one. So if we can ask our guest of honor and the distinguished speakers to come up, and Madam President for a photo shoot. So I think we can remove this. The photo shoot can be there. Oh, sorry, the guest of honor is not the one leaving. It's Tsitsi. Who is leaving? She's catching a flight. Okay. I think let's get the photo shoot done before you leave. Eh? And people have burning questions in there because she touched on many issues. So there's an interesting joke here about project managers. So my project manager posted in LinkedIn, when I die, I want my developers to carry my coffin so they can put me down one last time. And I commented in that post, for the first time, you have mentioned the requirements clearly. If we got the requirements correctly for the cameraman to execute. whilst the photo shoot is going on, there is also a unique free offer here. Scrum Foundation certification. It's being offered for free by Ottawa Business Solutions in partnership with BSOS Consultants, who are us. So you please get my business card and we give you this for free. It talks about Agile. So it's a foundation which is free, offered for free, before you decide to certify, because then there is a certification after that. So we'll ask our speakers to remain there. Questions, I think there is a revolving mic. There is a gentleman with a question, a burning question here. If we can give him the opportunity to ask. And then one for our panelists, our speakers. So please identify yourself, your name, the organization you are coming from, and who perhaps you are directing your question towards.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to say my question. I am Simon Chiduku from Net1 as a project manager. We have got different environments for our projects. Most of the presentations that were articulated in here are so easily applicable to small organizations. Not the likes of Net1 and other bigger organizations and the government entities. Here, therein, we have got policies that are laid out, and the operations are very limited in many cases. So the project manager is not having a space to innovate and do much on that. And also there is the point of agility having been developed mainly for software solutions. In mechanical projects, we have to plan. And once we have planned and specified the materials, the agility component is very difficult to apply. How can we navigate such scenarios, the red-taped organizations and the applicability of that flexibility in mechanical or engineering projects? Then there was also a point on the leadership. I still remember only a component of the quote that was put up, which says a leader should change clutter to clarity and a difficulty to an opportunity. That attribute is more lacking in many of our leaders. So as a project manager, yes, you will be striving to do that. But your bosses will be sitting on you with more like the clutter should be clarified by you, not by the leader. You have got your leader, and you are also a leader of the project team. So I need maybe some insights into how a project manager can navigate that complexity of the environment. Thank you.
That's a mouthful. Who wants to take up? I think there were like 3 pieces of responses that are required. Let's start with the doctor.
Okay, thank you. I'll just give you a quick example of some of the ways we resolve problems, just to take you away from the fact that once you've ordered certain components, then things can't change. I remember when I was an engineer at the power station, we had serious problems with some of our actuators where membranes were breaking, and we couldn't get any replacements on time. We actually took condoms and we use them as membranes because that's the material which was there and it worked. So why I'm saying that agility will always be there irrespective of where you sit. And typically, in public entities in particular, there is always an excuse to say there is serious red tape and people fail to make decisions at their level. There are certain decisions you need to make as a project manager, but instead of making that decision, you deferred to the next level. And by deferring, you actually have not made the decision yourself. You have created red tape because the person you are deferring to is not even aware and very clear about the issue you are speaking to. And that way we have found a lot of projects failing. I strongly believe the good thing I've been where you are and I'm where I am. So I've been through the different processes, and my experience has been that if you are very clear and you're a good communicator, there is nothing which will stop you from presenting the issue. I think one of the presenters made it very clear, I think it was Tsitsi, to say that you have to go there to the board with a solution, not to ask them to make a decision for you. Because when you go and say, I've got this problem, which we're very good at articulating, but without solutions, especially as Zimbabweans. So if you go there, if you come to me as the Secretary of Energy, and those who have come to my office, I don't want anyone who brings me problems. I've got enough of my own. Bring your problem and a solution. Let's discuss the solution. Let's see how best that solution can be then accommodated and be taken on board, looking at the pros and cons, and then we move forward. So I strongly believe that take that leap of faith. Believe in yourself and say, I should be able to communicate with my boss directly in terms of what are the challenges I'm facing and what I need. And let that decision in terms of whether those things are there or not be the decision which you both make together before you take it to the next step. But a lot of times projects fail at the level of project management because people don't want to make decisions. So I would like to encourage you to do that. You are afraid to fail, and I think his point on agility is, and unfortunately, and I agree with you, most of our organizations are structured in such a way that failure is not taken well. And people have been fired for trying to do things differently, and they haven't worked. Instead of taking it as a way of learning, people have actually been sent home. So it's one of those issues which we need to address as we go forward, especially given the environment which we are in, where people should be allowed to make mistakes as part of learning. And I think that's where the biggest challenge is, which I see in my position. That you make a mistake, you are then sent home. Yet maybe in his company, they were able to experiment better and still deal with failures and then work up from those failures. I don't know whether there's anyone who wants to add.
And maybe just to buttress on the decluttering. I think some of the challenges we have, or you may have as a project leader, is if you start getting into the nitty-gritties, are we together? You then lose sight of the big picture, and then you also become part of the clutter. Are we together? And I think sometimes that ability to define the role of the project manager, are we together? But sometimes you find that project managers, they are the manager, they are doing it, you're doing almost everything. Are we together? So as a result now, when things are going crazy, you also become part of that madness. Whereas what you really need to be thinking about is have technically sound people, right? That you as a project manager can then make sure things are happening, are we together? Without you having to then become the manager, the implementer, the problems, are we together? That way you can step back, and if things are going crazy, you fix them. Because if we talk about clutter is often at an operational level, are we together? So your board, your leader, the person
person ahead of you should not be dealing with, are we together? Those are things that you can deal with. And then maybe then just feedback to say, this is challenges we experience, this is how we resolve them. And that's how you also gain the confidence of your leadership team. We are often pulling our leadership team too much into technical operational things. And then when they start getting into technical operations, hey, now are we together? They are now doing they are now usurping my authority. So you need to be very careful about what you bring leadership into and what you don't.
John, do you want to say something? Any other question in the meantime? Okay. Just a moment.
Okay, I wanted to say what we were talking about is applicable not only to small organizations. I used to think so until about 3 years ago that we have worked with public sector organizations. And fortunately enough, they also have PMI certified project managers who we work with. And the projects were a resounding success in the public sector. So I strongly believe that we can do this in any sector as long as project managers know how to be politically correct. And there's a way of communicating the policy shift to your management that they will buy into it.
Awesome. Next question, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Kenneth, and I'm with CIMAS. My question is directed to Madam Pemsek. Thank you very much for your insightful and very elaborative presentation that you gave. Having worked in the civil service myself, I think, for quite some time, I think also having a person of your caliber at a policy level, I think is quite good. But I just want to probably maybe pose a question to you in terms of the energy generation, because I believe that energy going forward is going to be a driver, whether we are going to develop digitally or otherwise. Also in terms of project management. And I just want to find out, probably maybe at government level, if we are making, or if there is thought of trying to incentivize, or maybe in terms when it comes to green energy, trying to move away from fossil fuels and trying to decarbonize, as you have said. Green energy, from experience, I think currently it is very expensive. If you try to look at how maybe somebody can try to invest in solar, or having those solar panels on top of their houses, and then having those lithium ion or gel batteries, and so that at least you can have that alternative and manage to harness the sun's energy, or having a solar geyser even. At policy level, as a government, are we trying to incentivize that industry? Are we trying? Do we have any incentive as to investment in alternatives or in green energy? I think that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think one of the key issues which I would encourage you to do is, if you just Google renewable energy policy Zimbabwe, and it will come up. Definitely. It has clear incentives which have been put in place to incentivize uptake and increase of renewable energy. There is duty exemptions on importation, but also as government, we are also cognizant of the point that we need to also incentivize local production or assemble. We know that maybe we will not be China in terms of the automation and reduction in costs and mass production, but we can assemble some of the systems, and there's a lot of discussions in terms of how do we bring in the costs much lower through importing a larger component, smaller components, and then assembling them together, both to create employment and also to make them more available. So the cost of the reason why government is taking away that duty, and I think in some cases even VAT, is to try and make them affordable. What has happened with the cost of renewables? If you read the IRENA report, which they produced this year in March of 2022, if you go to IRENA, which is the International Renewable Energy Agency, they have looked at how costs have dropped over the years. And I think if you look at from 2010 going forward, the costs of renewables, especially solar, dropped by over 85%. It's affordable. I think of all the costs of new energy today, solar is one of the cheapest in terms of kilowatt per hour, where you can bring in a megawatt at below $1 million. Mm-hmm. But if you take it down to people level in terms of either an individual investing or a corporate investing, if you look at I'll take it first at corporate and then individual. If you look at investment in solar by a corporate like this one, if you take $50,000, you can put a 15 and maybe comfortably up to about 30 kilowatt system, which once installed for $50,000 will last the corporate for 25 years. With lithium-ion batteries now in place, they are now, because the lithium-ion, the storage used to always be the weakest link. Batteries are now having a life of up to 10 years or so. You'll then change the battery in 10 years' time. The panels will be there for another 25 years. But you find executives who make the decision to buy a new car for themselves at 50,000 or even 100,000. Which has most likely at times even a life of less than 5 years. And they don't see anything wrong with that. But if you tell them, put a solar system for 100,000 on your system, which you can then net meter, connect it to ZESA, reduce the consumption, especially during the day when you can produce your own power, and pay just for the evening or off-peak where you are actually switched off most of the time if you are not on 24 hours. They'll think it's very expensive. It's not. It's a question of deciding what makes sense. Because that investment which you will make, whether it's 100,000, it will be for 25 to 30 years. But you will choose to buy a car because it has other benefits at individual level. And it's the same even in the home. You can defer a payment to buy a Honda Fit or a small car, which is about $3,000, $5,000, and put that system on your roof, and it will last you another 10 to 15, and with panels up to 20 years, 30 years. It increases the value of your property. It allows you better access to energy and takes away a lot of other inconveniences. So for me, I think it's just a mindset shift to say what is important and how do we take renewable energy. And last but not least, when it comes to solar water heaters as one of the renewable energy solutions which we have in front of us, geysers in homes constitute almost 40% of your consumption, because 3/4 of the time you leave it on, is coming on and off throughout the day, draining on your power consumption. But if you put a solar, once you have heated that system and it goes into your storage, you don't need to be switching on and off and on and off. That's why, as part of government initiatives now, is to encourage you through a statutory instrument to say any new houses cannot connect to ZESA if you want to put an electric geyser. We need you to buy a solar water geyser. And you find that a solar water geyser will cost you from between $600 to $700 or even less, depending on the type you're buying. You buy a phone for the same amount of money. You won't say it's expensive. But when it comes to a solar water geyser, it's so expensive. Guys, for me, it's a mindset issue. We can buy iPhones, latest 1,000 to, or even it can go up to 1,500. People will buy it easy. It's the same cost for a geyser, solar water heater. Are we together? And that solar water geyser will last you for another 20, 30 years. The iPhone will be out in the next year. You will be wanting to even update it and get another one. So it's really a mindset shift. I'm sorry. I hope I have spoken to you, but I don't subscribe to the first that renewables are more expensive. And we have clearly stated all the incentives. Some of the incentives, especially for large projects, is that we have put in prescribed asset status for renewable energy projects so that you can access funding from pension funds and also what do you call it, in some of the banks, because once you get the prescribed assets, you can get that access to funding, because one of the biggest challenges was access to funding, especially local. And then we have also put in the issue of community trusts, where you are coming into those communities. We are also encouraging that at least 2% of some of your final profits can go towards the developments of communities around which your projects are. Tax exemptions, they are already there. Duty exemptions, they are already there. Even corporate tax exemptions for the first 5 years are also provided for. So we have also reduced the cost of licensing renewable energy projects. I think those are the things I can think of my head. But you can download that renewable energy policy to be very clear. And those incentives have already been put into the Finance Act amendment. So they are already there. And there are statutory instruments which allow for that. I think we have statutory 106 of 2016, 2017, which allows for duty exemptions for most of these products, and especially those which will be used for energy production. Thank you.
That's a powerful lesson on business case write-up. It cannot be as clear as this. You can write your business case like this. Any executive will approve it. Thank you, Doctor. That was a powerful lesson.
Yeah. Thanks, Chester. I would just wish to add on clean energy from a sector perspective that I think in terms of the trends, definitely what she's saying from a policy point of view is complemented by what we are also seeing, particularly in the financial services sector. As you know, we provide, funding to different initiatives. What we are noticing, obviously, is there's a significant amount of investment that is coming on the global stage in the trillions in terms of funding clean energy. And as financial institutions, right now there is a lot of pressure for what we call sustainability reporting as part of companies' ESG policies, is environment, sustainability, and governance. Financial institutions are now a lot more incentivized to lower their cost of funding. For them to access, for instance, the Green Energy Fund, which are these funds that are coming, to drive, sustainability. Organizations that are certifying, for instance, sustainability certification are going to have access to these funds. And these funds come a lot cheaper as credit lines. And it's not just the reporting, but also the deliberate steps that you need to take in terms of how you are running your business. Are you running it sustainably? Are you putting those geysers, right? Are you taking out printers? Are you digitizing your processes, as it were, as a way of reducing your carbon footprint? So documenting it, reporting and certifying becomes critical, right? And it means also you are able to fund these projects that Dr. Magombo was talking about, because you've got access to funds such as the green energy fund moving forward. But I agree totally that it's a mindset issue. We find it difficult to ingest the benefits that we will get over the next 5 years of uninterrupted power vis-a-vis the joys of having an iPhone in our hand. I think if we turn it around, we'll realize that we can buy a smartphone for $200 and invest in the energy solution, and we'll have a much better life. Apart from trying to impress people that don't even like you. Thank you.
Thank you very much there for the responses. I think chemists are happy. Perfect. I think.
May I just add through you, moderator, that I want to acknowledge that in Zimbabwe, we had not managed to get most of our renewable energy projects across the line until our own institutions and banks started bringing in. I've got about 50 megawatts of power solar, which is under construction, which has been funded by some local companies like Old Mutual. I'm aware that Econet, through their Stewart Bank, have been funding a lot of the solar systems which have been put by private sector, especially agriculture. Tanganda, we are looking at about 1.8 megawatts on their rooftops. We have shops with a megawatt on their rooftop. Tangana is actually ground mounted, and we have lots of these agricultural companies which have actually put in solar using the banking system, which has come on board, and they've actually seen that we can also get assistance from carbon credits, which we'll get, and also for low-cost funding from the Green Energy Fund. As government, we might be sanctioned and might not have that access, but private sector has the capacity to do that and get that funding to ensure that their own facilities are greened up. And with this sustainability reporting, which we want to bring in, by the way, over time, to push most people to start moving towards sustainability, because that's the only way we can ensure our future for our children, and we can then be able to answer questions in 20 years' time to say, what were we doing?
Thank you very much. Wow. I'll steal this quick opportunity. I'm standing now between you and your lunch, right? I'll promote those in my sector, which is the banking sector. So as a member of Chartered Banker Institute, if you go onto that site, there's a certification program on green finance. So if you want to be on the cutting edge as a financial service person, individual, and take a lead, please do that certification. It's only £700, but it gives you the leading edge of understanding how to finance green projects. And I think it resonates with the responses that have been given here. So if you're a banker, or even if you're not a banker, please look at that certification under Chartered Banker Institute. It will definitely inform you and educate you a lot more on what's going on the green finance side of things. We'll take one last question so that we go for lunch.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Archibald Musonza. I'm representing CMAS. My contribution is directed to Mr. Mgwagwa. I think I certainly applaud what you've been able to achieve with Harani. Generally, there's a shift from traditional project management to a more agile approach. And I think as a country, there is that challenge. And I think that challenge has actually been raised by my colleague from Net1. But I like your contribution in that you indicated that Harani is sitting on the periphery or on the edge of a traditional organization. Insurance, financial services, medical aid, generally are strong on policies and risk management, which in itself in a way may be perceived as a hindrance to agile methodologies or practices. But Harani has been able to bridge that divide. You've been able to create products and provide them to the market in an agile manner, and still ensure that the traditional institution, the bank, is getting value and sticking to policies. Now, my question to you is, how have you managed to bridge that divide by ensuring that, yes, you've provided products in an agile manner, but you've also safeguarded yourselves against auditors that are going to come to you 2 years later to say, yes, you have this product, but you did not follow policy?
Thanks very much, Archibald, is it? Yeah. For your comments. One of the reasons that we have been able to succeed is that our program, our transformation program, was led from the top, right? In terms of right at the CEO level, buying and leading, this change program, right? That gave it a lot of potency, right? In terms of managing potential resistance, within the organization. So that's why I said, for transformation to succeed, on my takeaways, it definitely needs that support from the top. But that doesn't mean we did not have to manage at the execution level, right? Some of those challenges that come with changing policies and procedures, right? We have learned, we made mistakes on the way. For instance, you're talking about assurance. As we executed and introduced digital processes, you will find that our policies and procedures were speaking to manual onboarding. Right? You want a customer to walk through the door, produce paper, and so forth, and tick. And as we introduced the new product, iteratively, the policies and procedures were not ready. We had to retrofit the policies and procedures. And if then audit comes in between, you then have that conversation. But just as well, we've got an assurance function that is onboarded change from a culture point of view. We are working with them through collaborative teams in changing the policies and procedures as we move on. So we expect less and less of the friction between implementation and assurance function. Audit cannot turn around and say, how come you did this? Because they sign off somewhere to say, we are happy with either the project to actually change the policies and procedures so that they are aligned. And also there is an understanding that as much as you are a procedure risk-based organization, you actually realize that what the project that you are actually implementing, for instance, digital onboarding, it's actually enabling you to do risk management better than doing it manually. For people that sign up customers, and you look at people's IDs that were taken 30, 40 years ago, for you to say you are 100% sure that it's the same person, it's a lie. But technology can actually do it better than you, right? It compares, because the distance between the eyes, right, never changes over here. The iris, and so it does all those algorithms are run, right? By technology. And we're actually doing, an analysis of frauds on accounts that were done manually versus frauds on digitally onboarded customers. And the indications are, the fraudster is not as comfortable with these technologies than with the manual, a way of doing things, notwithstanding deepfakes in terms of those that use, advanced technology to commit fraud. That's how we have been able to do it, and we're very optimistic. We're talking to Blessing and Foster. I'm sure we'll be able to do something, particularly in the identity space, to ensure that your customers that are onboarding, they are who they are. Because in most of the cases, if you do checks on your databases, we'll find that perhaps only 85% of the people are real. A good number of them are dead, and you're still saying you've got a customer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I ask, and thank you for your questions. And those who still have burning questions, there's lunchtime to contend with our speakers. Allow them to eat and swallow as you communicate and sit by their tables. Really be open and free to carry discussions further. May I ask the past president to just round up, and then the president to round up before we go for lunch?
Thank you. Is this on? Is it? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. It has been a wonderful morning session and a lot of lessons to learn. I, for one, do not regret being here. I'm sure it's the same for you. We are learning, we are relearning, we are unlearning. And surely we should be able to take this back to our projects and also improve. One thing that has been standing out, I see from some of the questions that is still an issue, is the issue of mindset. The issue of mindset. Let's learn to see opportunities. Let's not see the problems. The problems are there, the challenges are there, they'll always be there anyway. So what use is it for you to keep dwelling on the problem, to keep dwelling on the challenges, to say that no, the system is not right, the policies are not right, the boss doesn't support? Take the opportunity to shine. Take the opportunity to promote the profession. Take the opportunity to say that as a project manager, I do have the leadership qualities. I do have the strategic thinking. I do have the business acumen. I do know why we are doing this, and I'm able to deliver a solution. So please, I encourage you all. It's about the mindset. Let's have a mindset that says we can do this, we can be successful, and we can deliver. We've had examples of others like Agrippa there with their organization. They are already doing it. While others are crying and complaining, they are stitching ahead and they are delivering. The Ministry of Energy is moving ahead. People are embracing energy. People are using solar. The world will go on while we are crying. Let's change that mindset and deliver.
I would also like to buttress one big takeaway that I have had from this conference is the approach that we have to our leadership. We don't take problems to our leadership. Let's go there with solutions. Then they will listen to us better. So that is the biggest takeaway that I also have among others. We would like to thank you all for this time and for our speakers. Now we go and have something to eat. Otherwise, the stomachs are rumbling now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam President. So yes, let's be back at 2:15, latest 20 past for our group assignment. That has been prepared for you. So let's go and take our lunch. And by 2:20, let's come back for the group assignment. Thank you.
Testing 1, 2.
Afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to our afternoon session. If everybody who's up there could just come down so that we get on to the next part of our program, which is really more an interactive group session, which is going to be led by our VP of Membership, Lorna. But before we do that, we just like to say thank you to all our speakers from this morning for a very interactive session just before lunch. I'm hoping that all of you got answers to the questions and queries that you have. If not, you are still free to, have side meetings with them and ask any issues, or even just network with them later on during our dinner. So for logistics purposes, our dinner tonight is a sponsored dinner, but we're going to have it at the Boma, which is at the Safari Lodge, about 5 minutes away. So once we're done with the group activity, Lorna will let us go, but everybody should be outside at the front of the hotel at 5:30, promptly because we're using the service from the lodge to move everyone for dinner. And tonight is the night where you can put on your African attire or bits of African attire because the Boma is an African experience. So if you could just do that for us and try and be on time. Does anybody know the word lectern? The word lectern. Does anyone know what it means? Don't say what it is, but I just wanted to find out because I asked these young people, these youthful young people, where's John? These youthful young people to please can you move the lectern? And they all looked at me and they wanted to know what a lectern is. And I see you're all wondering, this is a lectern. It's not a podium. It's called it's called a lectern. So just a new word, please. No, it's spelled Lectern. So that's lectern. New word for everyone here. So Lona, please, if you could just come and get the group activity. I'm just about to post the second question for the day to the group chat. And just like yesterday, you go through it overnight and have the answer ready for Carl tomorrow morning. I think Carl says he only got 10 answers this morning. And I'm pretty sure he said 9 out of 10 were wrong. So I don't know who is. I'm not saying no, but it's not 9. But there were some wrong answers, I can assure you. So if you tried this morning, give it another try today as well, because the quiz question is coming through. You share that answer with him tomorrow morning, and he'll log it in as well. So we're going to keep the ball rolling. So someone out there is going to fly over the falls on Saturday morning. So keep your hopes up. Lona?
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you? Is everyone in the house? You are supposed to end some PDUs. So to end those PDUs, we would like everyone to participate. So we're going to divide ourselves into groups. And then if you were listening in the morning, it's all about inclusivity, isn't it? Collaboration, teamwork. So we'd like to encourage each and every one of you to be participative. There's just a slide on the slides I will not present because Roberto tomorrow will present the PMI triangle. And Robert, VP for Professional Development, will explain the assignments which will come through to you. But there's something interesting I just wanted. Can you please open on the DivuCard? We can go to the next slide. The next one. The next one? Yes, that one. Okay, go to the next one. The next one? The next one? Okay, that's fine. You were being told how to lead inclusively. Would like you also to navigate consciously as a team. And on the VUCA, as you had so much on the VUCA, you had also something being explained to you about disruption. So we also wanted to bring that to you so that you're aware that disruption is part of the DivuCard. And the D, the last D, that's diversity. In our teams, as we work, we're being taught that we're supposed to work together to be a united team. So for the PMI triangle, just go again. Please proceed to the last page. For this one, wait there. You guys know who this gentleman is? What did he do differently? He still is, even if he was. But he did something differently. What did he do? What is he known for? Peer pressure. What is he known for, really? Apple product, innovation, isn't it? Yes, and what is he saying? He's telling us great things in business are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people, isn't it? We have to be inclusive. So please go to the next one again. So we want people to be inclusive, work as a team, be innovative, be creative. This is our triangle, the PMI talent triangle. Tomorrow, our PMI board member, Roberto, will touch on this one. He's going to share it in his presentation. But for now, as you do your group work, I would like you to put this in cognizance as you do your work. So for now, I'll call upon VP Professional Development to come through to also explain why this group assignment is important for us and why we need to end those 16.5 PDUs. Please note that when you are put in teams, each team person is very important. Everyone has a voice to speak. We need you to have a voice. We need you to contribute. We need you to share. So each one of you in the group needs to contribute. Please, we work together as a team to produce something together. So we're encouraging you to be part of it. Carl and Robert, you can actually come through. Thank you very much. Please work together as a team. Teams produce better things together.
Yeah, thank you, Lorna. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope, thank you very much for those that submitted their quiz yesterday. I'm sure if you look at this on one of our signs here, can you see the 9 dots? Yep. It's only that yesterday the 9 dots were a bit separated, isn't it? Yeah? Isn't it? It calls for collaboration, teamwork. Are we together? Yeah? I just want to, before we get into our different, we are going to form 6 groups, and then I'm going to take you through the various questions that are allocated to each and every group. What we have done is we are going to formulate 6 groups. 2 groups are going to chase 2 or 3 sets of questions in groups, and then they are all out of 100%, and then the awards are going to come at the end. Already one quiz has already gone. Allow me just to give you an indication of what was expected yesterday. Is everybody able to see here? What I'm going to draw the same 9 dots there. But the dots are a bit separated. I think for those that participated in the quiz yesterday, the question was to say, can you join all the 9 dots there without lifting straight line? Draw 4 straight lines. The 4 is standing for Industry 4.0. Okay. According to our theme. Are we together? Okay. So you could, if you are left-handed or so, you could start from here, right, all the way. I'm not lifting my, yeah, all the way. Are we together? One. Here. And then we go beyond the now. I go. Are we together? And then all the way. I'm going beyond the now. And then 4. If you got that part, you'll be getting something. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then these points here are going beyond the now. Are we together? And then of course, if you are left here, this is for right-handers. But now for left-handers, can you see what it is like? It's an umbrella, isn't it? Can you see that? Yeah? It's an umbrella, isn't it? Why straight lines? You have to have strategic alignment. And I'm sure the speakers talked about strategic. I think it was Koma Agrippa. He talked about strategic alignment. So you have to, when you are conducting projects, it has to be straight in line with what? With the organizational strategic thrust, isn't it? Otherwise, if it goes out, it is going to have a project starvation. Just like an umbrella, we know there are some risks that can happen. Rain can come, isn't it? Or the sunlight. Yeah. But as long as they are aligned in that umbrella, you would have mitigated for the risks, isn't it? Yeah. And my colleague just now said you can go. You said devook. When you go beyond, this is the other D. You can go, can disrupt, isn't it? Against what is normal, isn't it? And also you can go diversity, isn't it? Yes. So those are things that we are expecting, and disruption that side. Sorry, my writing is a bit cracky. So if you get those right in the response, I got 10. I've got it. The quiz is already closed, but there is another one opening tonight. And I'm sure Chester and Silly are going to post that one shortly. Anyway, without wasting much time, what we're going to do is we are going to have to divide ourselves into 6 groups, like we said. We're just going to count from 1 to 6, and then 1 to 6 as we go. And then people then go into those groups, and then we will pick it up from the questions that we have for you. But there are assumptions that we need to make in terms of the theme of the Congress, of the annual Congress, that we are looking at tools that are game-changing in this revolution. And I'm sure those that have looked at things that revolve very fast, yeah? Things can revolve so fast that your eyes can be fooled to seem as though they are stationary, isn't it? Yeah? But we need to go beyond that in order to capture value, business value, with our growth trajectory going forward. So this is what we would want to do. So we can start, obviously, the MC is not going to participate. So we can count that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we can then formulate our groups now. And then we can deliberate on the questions that I'm going to post shortly. And then what we're going to do is that after, since yesterday, all the team interactions that we had through the dinner and everything, since yesterday up until Sunday when we go, there's a potential if you attend all those to earn 16.5 PDUs. Okay. I don't know if there are any questions, clarifications that that need to be done. Yes. Sorry. Right. The price for the quiz. Sorry. For the group assignment, like I indicated, all the questions will be evaluated out of 100, and there'll be an exclusive game drive for the winner of those. And they are going, the assumption is from all the deliberations from our speakers and all that they were talking about in terms of consistent with our theme. Okay. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, are we ready to get into our groups so that part of us getting into the groups is for us to get a chance to interact, cross-pollinate ideas, cross-fertilize ideas as well. Are we to get fertilized as in growth, not the other way that I got from people, getting clear. Some are coming in from the banking sector, some are coming in from the humanitarian sector, some are coming from the utilities, some are coming from engineering, some in construction, some in land development, insurance, IT, and I'm sure typically those are the cross-disciplinary disciplines that you find in a typical project. So we need to be talking from the same point and also getting into the goals of a particular project. Just like the quiz yesterday. You can see that here, at this pinnacle here, we can have our what? Portfolio. Talking to our what? Program. Isn't it? Yeah? And this is our PMP here. All these things are aligned. And these are the various technologies. Yeah? Big data, whatever. And you can expand that way through diversity, through disruption. Yeah. So let's form those groups there.
Are you participating? All right, Tim. So if you say one, we go one up to six. Then if you're in one, you join the other ones. Two, you join the other twos. Three, you join the other threes. 4, 5, 6. We join each other. So I'll start with you, sir.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5,
6.
1, 2, 3,
4,
5,
6.
1, 2, 3,
4,
5,
6.
2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 1, 2,
3,
4,
5,
6.
1,
2,
3, 4,
5,
6. What? 1.
So
3.
Sekal. Hello? Are our speakers participating? Okay. And We were on 3. Our board members also participating. No. Okay. So we've ended on 3. So the ones for 6, Chitibatirai Ufunga, who are now disrupting everything. So we would like you to be in the groups. I think group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6. Let's see the leaders. The ones, stand by yourselves, then the 2s, 3s, up to 6s. So let's have the ones. Can you stand where the ones are so many? All right, since you are the ones, which table do you want? Okay, you can come here. The ones. The 2s? Okay, let's wait for the ones to move. It's actually a powerful team. Be scared. Yes. Sorry, people would have to ask you to move for the ones. The 2s. Matus mochaga kunoku. The 2s here. The 3s, where are the main 3s? Come lead the 2s. Leaders are made. Okay, imagine you're going to get a prize. It's a game park cruise. I wish I was part of the team. I'm not allowed because I think I would know the answers. Please make sure each and every member is participating. That's how we form our teams. Let the PMPs show us how it's done. 3, 4, maybe somewhere here, then 5 and 6. Where are the 4s? Where are the 3s? So the 5s also mix and the 6. 5s, let's find each other. We've been disrupted, so we are diversifying now. I tell them they can sit, then you give them the question.
And then they have to submit by day and tomorrow.
Day ends tomorrow.
Yeah. So that say by midday.
Hello, team. What time are we supposed to finish the assignment anyway? At 5:30.
They can go anywhere.
Okay, yeah, that's better. Hello, team. Hello, team. Sorry, VP Events has got some. Hello, team. Actually, your assignment is required tomorrow by lunchtime. So you are welcome to go outside and discuss. You are also welcome to remain here. This event is supposed to end by 5:30. So you submit tomorrow by midday. By end of day, we'll be knowing the results. And then we'll be telling you who's going for a cruise ship, for a game drive. You can submit by lunchtime tomorrow. But you have this time until 17:30 hours to work on your assignment. So you can actually go outside. There are very nice places outside there for you to work together as groups.
But before you go outside for your interactions and group work, the assumptions that you can make is that it's actually if you look at this question is going to be posted in the conference group. Okay. In a similar manner that we did with the first quiz. But what is going to happen is that group 1 and 2 are going to do questions 1 and 2, and then if you can scroll down, and then group 3 and 4 are going to do question